Hi, welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Alton. On this episode, man, it's going to be a good one. We've got the song Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. I'm going to show you how to play it. Great finger picking exercise. Lindsey Buckingham is a fantastic guitar player. We're going to talk about that. We've also got local guitar player Ben Busick here with a special lick of the week and an interview to let us know what's going on with him lately. And in our tone zone, we're going to have the Soldano Super Lead Overdrive, the Soldano slow pedal. Dude, stay tuned. It's going to be an awesome episode. Welcome to the Guitar Department. The song Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac features a line that is really Lindsey Buckingham at his finest. We've got what's called a melody in thirds. And to play this, I'm going to show you a cool trick. The way a melody in thirds works is you've got one line, and you're going to carry another line underneath that. And the distance between those two notes is known as a third. It's either a major third or a minor third. And so what we're going to do is we're going to carry our minor thirds with a pointer finger and your middle finger, excuse me. In this case, they'll be on the first fret of the second string and the second fret of the third string. And that gives us that sound. Now, when you move that up 2 frets, you get another minor third. This time it's a B and a D, and then we're going to add these 2 fingers. Now, I prefer to use the ring finger and pinky. Some might argue that the middle finger should just move up to the 5th fret and you use the ring finger on the other 5, but either way, it's going to go from what's called a minor third to a major third, meaning that the notes are now 1 extra half step apart. Instead of being offset by a fret, they're going to be on the same fret. But really, for me, the trick to this is to keep the middle finger on that third string and to not reorient it so that you're using the pointer and middle on separate strings. And here's the example. So that was if you use 3rd and 4th, and if you use 2nd and 3rd, you end up like that. Now, if you reorient them, you actually have to lift up both fingers and move them like that. So don't do that. Just use pointer, middle, and then either pointer or ring and middle or ring and pinky. Now, right here, we're carrying a major third on a separate set of strings. It's an F and an A, or the 3rd fret of the 4th string and the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And the reason I'm using these 2 fingers, my 2nd and 3rd fingers, is that when you're playing this, you're going to have your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the top string. And that'll be played with your thumb, which we'll get into here in a second. We're also utilizing the 2 open strings, the 2nd and 3rd open strings, which make a major third also. So we've got an A and a C, a B and a D, a C and an E, and then back B and D, A and C. This is a G and a B, and then F and A. And those are going to be it for our notes. So the whole riff without the bass notes goes like this. And it very much follows the vocal melody. If you listen to the song, Stevie Nicks is singing in sort of a sultry lower voice, very laid back at that point, but those are the lines she's singing. So, one quick alteration. When we're playing with the bass note, we're going to keep that going at a steady 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. Three, 4 again. One more time. So you're going to start with the thumb, and I'm using my pointer and middle fingers to play the second and third strings, and actually the whole melody in thirds. Then switch to the F with the pointer finger on the first fret of the top string, the sixth string. And this is where it gets a little tricky. You've got your 3 and your 2, and then you go to the open strings on the second and third strings, and then you have to sort of tilt your hand back to work the middle finger and the ring finger into position for the 1 and the 2, the A and the C that we were playing earlier, but this time with the F in place. That's the way I do it anyway. It could also be done by barring the first finger across that first fret. It's up to you which way is easier, but either way, you got to get those notes in there. With that F, again, just carrying a 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you play the intro and the verse part to Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. Now, there's one more section. This song only has 2 sections. Instead of going from A minor to F, we're going to play this time a C and an F. But we're not just going to play a C and an F because, again, it's Lindsey Buckingham, and seriously underrated guitar player and somebody who doesn't play in a normal pick-driven style. So we're going to keep using our fingers. And really, he keeps it a bit sparse. They've got the bass player going and the keyboards at this point. Oop. So what he does is he carries another melody in thirds. This time, we're basing it off of the C shape, and we've got the second finger on the second fret of the 4th string, the E, the D string, but the note is E, and we've got the third finger carrying the C on the 5th fret of the, the 3rd fret of the 5th string. So we're going to play those 2 notes, and to do that, I'm using my thumb and pointer finger, and then moving them down a string. Actually, I'm going to add the pinky for 1 note there to make it what's called a C sus4, turning it from an E to an F. And then we're going, leaving my middle finger in place, we're going to play an E and a G. So the right hand moves down a string at that point. We do that twice. So we go all the way up, C, C and F, E and G, then back to F and C, and back to E and C. Sounds harder than it is. It's really just a matter of picking the right strings and putting the pinky down and taking it back off. Then we switch chords to F. And this isn't a normal bar chord F. It's just a piece of the F. So we're going to play 3rd fret of the 4th string, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and 1st fret of the 2nd string. The notes here are F, A, and C. We're going to start with F and A, and then we're just going to open up and play those thirds again. The G and the B strings just open, and then the A and the C, the 1st and 2nd frets. And of course, in the same pattern that we played the first part, you're going to play them up and then back down. So we go and then back down. And then we go back to the C, and then back to the F again. And then that takes us back to our main riff. Yep. Excuse me. And that's how you play Rihanna by Fleetwood Mac. And we're back, and I'm sitting here with Ben Busick, local guitar player, and plays with Suede. You played with Toaster. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Long time no see. For those of you who don't know, and I imagine none of you know, Ben and I went to college together at SWIC, Southwestern Community College. We've known each other a very long time. Went there with Seth Hedquist, Ben Mars, Joel Geddes. The list goes on and on and on. You popped up again playing with Toaster a while back. And that was the last time I saw you. That was, what, 5-7 years ago?
Yeah, a long time ago.
And now you're with the band Suede.
Yep.
Tell me what you're up to.
So I've been with Suede for about a year. I stopped playing with Toaster right as the pandemic started. I just, wanted a break.
Sure.
So I didn't play for about a year and a half. I just set the guitar down and didn't look at it. And then I got the itch again about a year ago, and they were looking for a guitar player, so I joined up with them.
Suede. That is.
With Suede, sorry, yes. And so I've been with them for about a year now, and it's great.
And they're kind of a newer project, aren't they? I hadn't really heard of them before you joined. Is that just they hadn't entered my bubble, or are they actually kind of a newer project?
They've been around, I think, probably since 2017, 2018, something like that.
Sure.
In that vein of like Toaster and a lot of the Standing Hamptons, kind of all play the same kind of music.
Yeah.
So
that classic rock.
Yeah, classic
female
rock.
lead singer.
Yep. We do some newer stuff, some 90s, some current stuff, some Pink stuff like that.
Sure.
But then we still play Rush and Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, stuff like that. So it's eclectic.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
I love some Stevie Wonder too.
Yeah.
You don't get that out of Toaster very often.
It's the same song. We both play Superstition.
Oh, really?
And Toaster used to play Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Really, I didn't know that.
But yeah, it's Superstition's just a great jam song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We used to play I Wish in a band that I was in, and
that's a lot more complicated.
It's a lot. It's actually just 2 or 3 parts, but man, you're moving the whole time.
Yeah.
It just does not relent. So, like I said, you've been out for a long time. You're actually you've got some interesting plans for the future. Just moving on from Suede, moving into some harder music. You're hoping.
So at the end of March, I'll be leaving Suede, and I just wanted to do something else. I've been playing the same stuff for a long time. Classic rock covers, playing in bars, getting home at 2:33 in the morning. That's rough.
It is a
on
rough
those old
life.
guys.
We're getting old, yeah.
And so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I've thought about trying to start something. I've been trying to get into playing jazz. It's hard. I don't understand it, and I'm old enough that I don't know if I can learn it, but just something more complicated, maybe instrumental stuff. I don't really know.
Sure.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, well, that's the exciting part, isn't it? Is that you get to sort of do whatever you want at this point. I don't think jazz is all that hard to get into. It's just hard to do well.
Yeah, I mean, I can learn some licks and recreate them, but the hard part for me is spontaneity when it comes to playing like that. Improv. It's hard for me to go from the blues mind to anything other than that, because that's what I've been doing my entire life.
Yeah, that's true. It's like playing several blues songs all at once.
Yeah, like layered on top of each other.
So what are some of your influences? You've got an interesting playing style, and you've always been a phenomenal player. What brought you to that point?
As a kid, a lot of the stuff that I listened to was just what my dad had lying around.
Sure.
So he had a lot of Chicago and Steely Dan. He loved Leonard Skinner. So all this, the classic rock stuff.
Yeah.
Hendrix, Clapton. And then in high school, Seth and I really got into that jazz fusion stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was John McLaughlin, Jimmy Herring, Robin Ford, stuff that I can't,
Pat
touch.
Metheny.
Yeah, Pat Metheny. Stuff that I could never even hope to play. But that was what really caught my ear, when I was in high school. And then we went to SWIC, and Seth really ran with it. And I was like, no, not for me. So a lot of that stuff. And then really, there's a bunch of great guys on YouTube that I've been listening to recently, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's frightening. There are 10-year-old kids that can play circles around me.
That's true. If you ever feel like you're getting good at anything, let alone guitar, head online and find yourself a 10-year-old who's better than you could ever hope to be.
Yeah. There's a guy on there named Sean Tubbs. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know.
He played with, I think, Carrie Underwood.
Okay.
And he's mainly just been kind of a studio guy. And he's extremely competent. and he's really good at kind of explaining his ideas.
Sure.
And so that's a guy that I've really been just kind of going and watching his videos and just looking for new ideas and stuff to
So
play.
you like educational videos, progression videos, stuff like that.
It's more just like, and we'll kind of talk about this, like that outside lick that I'm going to show.
Yeah.
He does a great job of explaining it in terms of shapes, because I'm not going to know every scale or every mode.
Right.
But a lot of those shapes you can kind of apply and get that same sound. So he does a great job of explaining that.
Excellent. Yeah. You ever watch Rick Beato?
Oh yeah, that guy. He can do it
dude's-
all.
He's like the gold standard,
Yeah.
right? I consider myself like a Wish.com Rick Beato.
There is nothing that guy can't do. He can play drums, piano, guitar.
That's true.
His theory goes on for days. So yeah, he does the thing where he breaks down the songs, why the song is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Kissed by a Rose by Seal. I've watched that one like 10 times. I think it's so interesting.
His little breakdown of Guthrie Govan more recently.
Yeah.
It's really just a fanboy video, but he puts it out and it's just him gushing over Guthrie Govan, whom I saw like 2 weeks later. After he put out that video, he was at XBK with the Aristocrats.
How was that?
Oh man,
Did you want to
that was
burn every
unreal
guitar
show.
you owned after seeing him?
No, I wanted to go play them. Because you watch him do it and it just looks so effortless, but you're also like, I can't do that. There's no way. But a lot of it's actually pretty accessible. There's only like little bursts that are really unattainable.
Yeah, that's another guy that can do just anything he wants on an
Right.
instrument.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
It is unfair. It's very freeing
Yeah.
to not have to live up to a standard like that. The one more question I wanted to ask you is, we have a viewership out here that are interested in guitars. Who do you think they should be listening to?
Oh boy. Just in terms of guitarists?
Yeah, just to try and develop as a guitar player. Who would you have them listen to?
I think that Robin Ford is kind of like the ultimate guitarist. He is well-versed in blues and jazz and rock. And the thing that I really like about him is that he's very choice with his notes. You know, he can go out there and just play a flurry of notes, but it's usually a little more reserved. But when he chooses his spots, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of that early stuff with the blue, I think it was called the Blue Line, Robin Ford and the Blue Line.
Right.
Just some great playing. He's a pretty good singer too, but that's the guy that I would refer everyone to.
Excellent. Robin Ford. There you
yeah.
go, everybody. So it would be hard to host a guitar show without mentioning Jeff Beck today. I don't know if you're a big Jeff Beck fan, but
Love Jeff Beck.
we just lost Jeff Beck. Was it 2 days ago now? Yesterday? It was yesterday.
2 days ago, I think.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
And by the time this airs, it'll be a week or so out.
Yeah.
But man, that guy, I saw somebody call him the quiet virtuoso. I always felt like Jeff Beck wasn't a guy that had a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was with the Yardbirds, and he had a prolific solo career. I have an album where he has Rod Stewart singing with him, and just a who's who of studio musicians. But his real ownership, and I feel like there's a few other guitar players out there who have this, Frank Zappa among them. You'd hear ideas that you wouldn't get anywhere else. Alan Holdsworth is another one, and obviously Alan's on a whole other level.
Yeah.
But man, Jeff Beck he's a real guitar player's guitar player.
He was a guy, I learned of him because, I was into Clapton first, and then I learned he was in the Yardbirds, and then Jimmy Page was in the Yardbirds, and then Jeff Beck. And like you said, Clapton went on and did a solo career, and he was very popular. Jimmy Page obviously played with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Jeff Beck, I think he kind of just stayed behind the scenes. His playing style doesn't necessarily lend itself to, Led Zeppelin songs or Cream. I'm sure he could do it, but it's just a little more reserved. But like you said, it's instant. You can hear it, and you're like, oh, that's Jeff Beck. He plays with the fingers. He uses the whammy bar all the time.
Yeah,
very vocal lines.
You do. You watch him, and he's just holding that whammy bar, and he's playing with his fingers, and it's a very, just the ideas, the gracefulness that he has playing was just amazing, and just a huge loss for the guitar community.
I don't think it was expected I don't think he was in poor health, so it was a shock.
Apparently his close friends knew.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Depp apparently was at his bedside, which seems random, but they put out an album together 6 months ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did. Go check out Johnny Depp and Jeff Beck's album, and be sure to watch for Ben Busick and everything you're doing in the future. Go check out Suede for the next couple months, and of course keep checking them out throughout the ages.
They'll be great.
Yeah,
they're all great
They're a great
musicians.
band, and Toaster and the whole lineup. It's just a great scene we got going here, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna actually be doing a co-show with Toaster on St. Patrick's Day at Bennigan's down in Hay. So that'll be a great time.
Yeah.
Everybody come out and
that is a really good
jam.
show.
Yeah.
Both of those bands are really good shows. Ben, thank you for being here. Hey,
Absolutely.
do you have you want to stick around and do a look at the week for us?
Sure.
All right. Ben Busick, everybody.
Thanks.
And we're back with Ben Busick, and you've got a lick of the week for us, don't you?
I do. The idea behind this lick is basically, like I was mentioned earlier, to get an outside sound without knowing all the theory behind it.
Sure.
So
What do you mean by an outside sound? Just
anything that isn't in, if you're in an A blues, for instance, anything that isn't in the pentatonic or maybe the mixed Lydian mode.
so literally outside of the box.
Notes that do not occur in the scale
Yeah.
or in the chord.
Okay. Gotcha.
And this has always kind of appealed to me. It kind of gets the ear a little bit.
Yeah.
So what this is, I'll play it for you.
Sure.
And we kind of walk through how it's
Yeah,
done.
yeah, let me see it.
If you're an A, it's going to sound something like this.
A lot of dissonance in that. I like it.
All it is that D minor shape that we all know and love.
Yeah, okay.
You take that, and you're going to slide it up. So you're starting on the 5th fret, and you're going to go from that high A note with your pointer finger, slide up to the 6th fret, and then play that arpeggio, that little. Then you're going to take that same shape, move it down a string set. So then you're going to start on that 6th fret on the B string, slide it down, and play that same shape again. Yep. And then you're there, and then you're going to slide it back up again, move it, and then you're going to slide it down one more time.
Excellent. That's got a pretty cool resolution to it,
Yeah.
that half step. It reminds me a little bit, we had Dan Trook on a while back, and I asked him to do a lick from his song, Gas Station Hot Dog. He did something similar, a little shape-driven thing
Yeah.
that I found very difficult to play. This
Yeah.
seems like it'd be a little bit easier.
There you go.
Something like that, and then,
And the cool thing about this is you don't have to go all the way down. You can do.
that's good, because I can't.
You can do 1. You can do 2. You can do 3. If you're going to the 4.
I was gonna say, it looks like it leaves you 1 fret away from a chord tone in every iteration.
Yeah.
So when you're here, you're on, that's your 3rd right
Yeah.
there. So you can just,
And that's the great thing. Is it's in that position we know. It's in that that
Yeah.
pentatonic position. So you're kind of familiar with everything. You can land easily on something.
let's hear it in context. So if I carry like a shuffle,
Yeah.
I'll stay on 1
Okay.
here.
So.
I like that.
And you can play it. It works as well. Let's get a little more treble here. It works over a minor chord. So in Suede, we play the song Josie by Steely Dan.
Okay, sure.
Which is like a. So it works there too.
So you just moved that up. That was an E minor chord.
That's an
you
E
moved
minor.
it up to E.
Yep.
You're gonna make me do it?
Yeah, you have to do it now. There you go.
Oh man, that's hard.
And that's the thing. It's. Yeah.
That
You
is
get the
kind of
idea.
tricky, but yeah, I could.
Once you get it down, there you go. It's you don't want to overuse it.
Right.
It's kind of thing you throw in once and maybe don't use it for a while.
Right.
It's a nice little trick.
It's
to have.
identifiable.
It's identifiable.
Yeah.
The other thing that I try to focus on, if I do use it, is I'm not going to start on the 1. I'm going to start on the offbeat.
Oh, sure.
So that just kind of adds to the, catching the ear a little bit,
Sure.
as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. So
I like that.
that's the other hint that I would
That's
give.
very nice. So
Yeah.
to break it down one more time, we were back in A here.
Yep.
And you're going from 5 to 6, and then 8, 7,
So yeah,
and then we're just talking fret numbers here.
Yep.
Obviously, these aren't the notes.
and then with that pointer finger,
and then
sliding down from 6 to 5.
6, 5, and then,
And then
7,
7, 6.
and then 5, 6.
Yep. 8, 7.
Good.
And then 6, 5.
And that takes you a half
Yep.
step. That's awesome.
It's easy to play. It sounds cool. Just don't overuse it.
Yeah,
or you'll
I
get
love
caught.
those shape-driven.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
That's our lick of the week with Ben Busick. And now it's time for us to enter the tone zone, and this week we have an awesome pedal. It is the Soldano Slow, or Super Lead Overdrive. Now this pedal is sort of an amp in a box, is what they refer to it as. Now Soldano makes a really beautiful high gain amplifier that is very costly actually, and the idea with this pedal is that if you can't afford to buy a Soldano amp, the Super Lead Overdrive amp, but you want the same sound, they put the same circuit, the same sound that you would get out of the amp, into a pedal enclosure. And this is pretty common. Marshall does it, EVH does it, and in fact, Eddie Van Halen used this pedal before he, or used this amp, excuse me, before he went off and formed his own company, EVH, and then he also, Mark Knopfler's used it. Just the list goes on and on and on of people who have used it. But without further ado, let's get to it. So here it is clean. And that's just the guitar into the katana. Turn on this. So right away, you can just hear that sort of classic, maybe late 70s, early 80s sound. It's got a very high gain. Those pinch harmonics just flow right out of it. It's got a lot of sustain to it, and man, that thing has great tone. So let's take just a second here and let's spin some of the dials. You might notice right now I've got the gain up all the way. Let's dial that back just a little bit. Here's what the gain sounds like around 12 o'clock. Maybe a little less intense, but it's still very, very sort of 80s rock, very heavy metal. Let's dial it back even a little further. So now I've got the gain set to 2. So you can see it offers quite a bit of crunch no matter what you're wanting. So if you're looking for that high gain sound, this is a great pedal to have. It's also got one more feature I want to show here. On the side, we have a deep switch. Now, I've had it on this whole time, so if I turn it off, oh, I've turned my volume down. If I turn it back on, just adds a little bit more versatility to it, gives you a slightly deeper sound, a little more low end. But if you want those high ends to sort of rip through, and especially if you're playing those sort of Van Halen-y riffs, or you want that higher end on the guitar, this is going to give you a lot of different options. Our pedal of the week, the Soldano Slow Super Lead Overdrive. Well, thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Ben Busick, my guest. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to thank Jackson, our producer, our camera operator, Taylor. I want to thank Riemann Music for offering us this beautiful LTD EC256 that I've been playing this whole episode, the Boss Katana 100 amp that we've been using for this whole episode, and of course our pedal of the week, the Soldano Super Lead Overdrive. Thank you, Remans, for all of that. Also, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department and our newly minted Instagram page at guitar_department. And Ben, you want to play us out?
Absolutely.
All right.